Destiny 2's Curse of Osiris DLC released just a few days ago on December 5th, but instead of being a healthy expansion to the vanilla game, it's been the source of much scrutiny. It's bad enough that the DLC lacks compelling new content and garnered universal criticism from game critics and the Destiny community alike as a result. But the real controversy stemmed from the way it locked players who hadn't purchased the DLC out of old content and activities. The way it did that was by raising both the cap of power levels as well as the power level requirement to engage in endgame activities like raids and strike missions. So whereas Nightfall strikes originally required players to be at a power level of 300 to play it in Prestige, which yields some of the game's best rewards, Curse of Osiris raised that requirement to 330, but because players have to purchase Curse of Osiris to increase their power level cap from 300 to 330, Nightfall strikes became out of reach for vanilla Destiny 2 players. Bungie's intention was clear. They wanted to strong-arm players into purchasing the new DLC by threatening them with the inconvenience of being left behind. Making a shitty situation even shittier was the fact that by putting the prestige difficulty for these activities out of reach, Bungie also locked vanilla players out of the ability to earn the game's Platinum trophy. Suffice to say that this didn't sit well with Destiny players, especially in light of a previous fiasco involving Bungie getting caught throttling XP secretly if players earn them too fast, all in an attempt to slow down the rate at which one earned free Bright Ingrams. Now, it's worth noting that Destiny 1 and its expansions worked very similarly. Once a new DLC released, those who didn't purchase the new expansion were essentially locked out of old content. But just because this isn't a new scheme doesn't mean it's not shitty all the same, and most Destiny players agreed as they revolted against Bungie's underhanded tactics. What adds insult to injury about all this is that this was a common complaint in Destiny 1 and they failed to address it in Destiny 2. After swift and merciless backlash, just yesterday, Bungie took to their official website to post an update and response on the matter, and here's what they said. With Curse of Osiris now live, it's clear that we have made some mistakes with how we have handled content access. We would like to talk through the reasoning behind our decision so far and what we're committed to changing moving forward. The Destiny endgame features a variety of activities and playlists that we want to remain relevant to players as they grow more powerful. In Destiny 1, as your character grew more powerful throughout each expansion, some of our best content, like Vault of Glass, was left behind and lost in relevance for players. We wanted a better solution for Destiny 2, where all of our endgame activities could stay relevant as each expansion causes your Guardian to grow more and more powerful. The following were our goals when we separated normal and prestige modes. The normal Leviathan raid and normal Nightfall would always stay at a power level that was accessible to all players. Prestige difficulty would always rise to the new power cap. It could be the pinnacle of challenge with the most prestigious rewards, but it therefore would require you to own the latest expansion and be at the new power cap. Additionally, the game provides seasonal, time-limited PvP playlists, Trials of the Nine and Iron Banner. These activities and their rewards are meant to evolve each season, and they utilize new maps, so they would require you to own the latest content. To play the latest season of Iron Banner or Trials and earn the new rewards, players would need to own Curse of Osiris. We have heard from the community that both of these plans aren't working. The Prestige raid was a novel experience that players value, even if they don't own Curse of Osiris, and it was a mistake to move that experience out of reach. Throughout the lifetime of the Destiny franchise, Trials has always required that players owned the latest expansion. However, for Destiny 2, Trials of the Nine launched as part of the main game, so it's not right for us to remove access to it. To make matters worse, our team overlooked the fact that both of these mistakes disabled trophies and achievements for Destiny 2. This was an unacceptable lapse on our part, and we can understand the frustration it has created. Therefore, this week we will release a hotfix that will make the following changes. From there, you can read all about the changes yourself, but the bottom line is that the power level requirements of all activities DLCs, except for Prestige Nightfall Strikes, have been adjusted to be accessible to all players regardless of what DLCs they may or may not own. While any aspect of these activities that intersect with Curse of Osiris content won't be accessible, everything that vanilla players were locked out of will now be accessible once more. That is, except for Prestige Nightfall Strikes, but they're looking into adding a new difficulty mode for those who do own the vanilla experience. Now, this may all sound great at a glance, but keep in mind that this is yet another occasion in which Bungie was caught doing something shady before they were forced to pull back. If you think for a second that Bungie's backpedaling because they care about listening to the players to tailor the experience around us, especially after all that's happened, then you'd be a fool. How many times does Bungie need to get caught red-handed attempting to pull one over players before people realize that they're engaged in an abusive relationship? First, it was changes to the way shaders work, then it was the XP throttling bullshit, and now this whole nonsense of locking players out of vanilla content behind a sparse new DLC. Bungie keeps saying that stuff like this was a mistake, or they attempt to provide some design logic behind these choices, but the fact of the matter is that every single one of these controversial elements were planned and calculated as a means to contribute towards their push for uncapped recurrent monetization practices at the expense of the player experience. These were all ideas that were bred out of greed, not the community's interest, plain and simple. They try to apologize in these blog post updates, but their words ring hollow when each time it takes getting busted followed by unprecedented outcry for them to even consider common sense adjustments that benefit players. There has to come a point in which we have to stop, take a long hard look at Destiny, see it for the scam that it is, and say that enough is enough. I've said enough a long time ago, but my hope is that as Destiny's web of lies and underhanded tactics continue to unfurl, players will stop supporting companies that have no problem sneaking in predatory systems while lying directly to the players' faces about it. There are so many times that someone can lie to you and trick you and then apologize before one is forced to consider the possibility that maybe this isn't the healthiest of relationships. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video informative, and if you enjoy my content, consider supporting me on Patreon to help this channel stay independent and self-sustained. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.